Welcome, your trade of the day. It's going to be brought to you, as always, by Day Trader World, and we're talking some Apple here today. Lots of catalysts for Apple in today's market, but you started off with COVID lockdowns. You had Foxconn plant. There was some interesting images of people talking about riots and certainly some definite commotion going on, and then concerns about supply constraints down the line. But with all of that aside, the technical reason for the trade was actually pretty simple here. Now I've kind of blown this up, so hopefully you can see it pretty nicely. On the daily chart, I've highlighted your 50 period moving average on the daily, and you can see the last little bit, there's a lot of these crazy wicks, but if you look at the body, where we had most of these opens and closes, riding that 50 period and trying to bounce off it and holding some strength above the 50. You came in today and we're testing that to the downside. So this is going to correspond with about 147 and change. So it's simple, negative catalyst overall for the stock, in addition to for the overall market as well, and then a 147 level. So I'm looking for shorts. We're going to open below that price. Doesn't mean I want to short it exactly where it is or wherever it happens to be. It means I want to short it in front of that level, and it needs to break the 50 period on the daily for me not to be looking for shorts. Now, in the open, if you were watching, it was crazy whipsaw action. And almost immediately, the first wick is right up to a 146. I actually see it reject a 46, and this is a 3-minute chart. So in the first 3 minutes, you get that first wick up to 46. I jump into it thinking, oh, I'll scalp off this. It's below that 47. It goes $1 in the money and is almost instantly back into the upside. Like I got the fill in front of 46, was on the bid at about 11s, and then it shot right back to the upside, a crazy, crazy wick bottom. We've seen this happen at 9:30, but you missed that first quick, easy money scalp of $1, but then it's back to your plan. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I didn't actually get it. Let's see it bounce off lower than 147. It goes 146.5, comes right back into that 146 price. At this point, I wasn't completely convinced that I should be shorting 146 again. Allowed it to test the high where it failed that high. So at this point, I'm not getting 47s. You now made a double top at that 146 half. This is where we get in the second leg. There wasn't a third opportunity to be able to get into it. But this time when it does give me that push back into 146, I'm remembering what happened here, and I scalped some out anyways. Context is going to be important. At this particular time, Tesla was running to the upside, breaking shorts. You had some of the chip names were a little bit relatively weak, but most of the market was bouncing higher. The Chinese names, which had led to the downside, were also squeezing higher. So I wanted to make sure we're getting paid a little something out in front of VWAP. However, once it failed the lower high and got below VWAP, there really wasn't much to do except hold on to your short. You're going to see once we break out VWAP, I'm only getting some out at the low of the day and then trailing off for the low of the day. Now, there was not much of an opportunity to get back into that lower high, and that's that 146 level. So when I've scalped most of it out, I'm now holding on to the last piece. There's no other out until it breaks that low. Like, you've got to break that channel. And then once it broke the channel, okay, now I'm thinking about where to get out. I'm not just going to sit in front of 144. Instead, I like doing a trail as it tests that 144 level. And the key thing is, if you've already scalped out a portion of your trade and you're sitting there in the money and you want it to work past that low, you can't just sit on the bid underneath the low of the day. You just give up 10, 20, 30, 40 cents, which doesn't make any sense to me. I'm going to allow it to break that level. Once it's $1 in the money, it's like let it run and see how far it can go to the downside. But the key was you don't always want to have a bias, but sometimes having a bias can help. And just once we had broken this support of the 50 period on the daily, it helped to clarify to only be looking for shorts. And as long as that stayed valid at the open, just find yourself into an entry and then try to hold it as long as you can. This one ends up being almost a full day trade. We'll see where it goes at the end. But there were a lot of names that gave you reversals. Some of them had to blow through key levels, and you had to be able to hold through them. This one never violated that 50 period on the daily. Love that indicator on the daily chart. Love that trade. It's your trade of the day. Brought to you as always by Day Trader World. Scan that QR code below. Start your journey the right way.